Now, you know they big mad right now. I know they big. Look, the left is fuming. I can, you know, I can get them. I'm going to have to start handing out some liver noise. The cure, the TDS. Anywho, President Trump, they continue to try to paint this picture as if his popularity is on a decline with the American citizens since he's taken office. But it's been quite the opposite. And now we have CNN, who was forced to admit that Donald Trump, he's that guy.
Sometimes it's important to do a little bit of reality check and take a little different spin at the numbers. I'm going to do that right here because all we talk about is how unpopular Donald Trump is. But in reality, he's basically more popular than he was at any point in term number one and more popular than he was when he won election back in November of 2024. What are we talking about? His net favorable rating right now comes in at -4 points.
What are we talking about?
Compare that to where he was when he won in November of 2024 when he was at -7 points, or March of 2017 when he was at -10 points. So when you compare Trump against himself, he's actually closer to the apex than he is to the bottom of the trough. And of course, that's so important because Donald Trump, historically speaking, has had his numbers underestimated. So I think it's very important to compare him to himself to understand he's actually more popular now than he was.
You got to compare him to himself. Oh, look at that. That's a flex. I ain't gonna lie. If Donald Trump is a rapper, that'd be the first bar right there. I gotta compare me to.
He's actually more popular now than he was when he won, or certainly where he was at this point back in his first term. The bottom line is Trump is more towards the ceiling than he is towards the floor.
So when you do that, it makes my knees hurt. So when you look at this compared to sort of historically, what does it tell you about the percentage of folks that think the country itself, with him at the helm, is on the right track?
This, I think, is rather important because, again, if the polls have historically underestimated Donald Trump, what is a metric that might get at understanding at how popular he may actually be? So let's take a look at the percentage of the country who say that we're on the right track. It's actually a very high percentage when you compare it to some historical numbers. What are we talking about? According to Maris, 45% say that we're on the right track. That's 45? The second highest that Maris has measured since 2009. How about NBC News? 44%. That's the highest since 2004. Wow. The bottom line is the percentage of Americans who say we're on the right track is through the roof. And if you were to compare it to when presidents have historically been reelected, of course, Trump is not constitutionally eligible to run for re-election, but I think it sort of puts it in perspective. 42% of the country says the country is on the right track when the incumbent party is re-elected. And also keep in mind, back when Kamala Harris lost and the Democrats were turned out of power, only about 27 to 28% of the country said the country is on the right track. The bottom line is right now, a much higher percentage of the country says we're on the right track. And finally, Sarah Seidner, I want to put it all in the congressional generic ballot.
What about Congress? No.
What about Congress? Because those are the folks who are up in 2026. And take a look here. The Dems versus the Republicans on the generic congressional ballot. Back in November of 2020, when Democrats won, it was +5 Democrats. Tied in November of 2022, +1 in November of 2024 when Republicans maintain control. And then you look at March of 2025. This number looks a lot more like 2022.
Look like y'all trying to turn his mic off. Y'all heard that? Y'all heard that sound change right there? Look, I'm paying attention.
Maintain control. And then you look at March of 2025. This number looks a lot more like 2022 or 2024 when Republicans won control of Congress. The bottom line is, yes, Donald Trump's approval rating is lower than compared to a lot of his predecessors, but it's higher than compared to himself. A lot of folks say the country's on the right track, and the generic congressional ballot looks a heck of a lot more like when Republicans win than when Democrats win.
It will be interesting to see if any of what just happened with these leaking of the text plays into it in a later poll. But this is very telling.
This is very telling. At least at this point, Republicans are still in the catbird seat.
What text is she referring to? I don't know. I'm upset about that. I should know that. But I'll say this. Look, y'all tried to do everything to this man. You really think, look, dog, you really think at this point you gonna crucify this man with a text? Nah, it really depends, though. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know what text she's talking about. And I ain't gonna sit here and just blindly agree to nothing either. But Donald Trump, man, that guy is winning. Just win, no matter what. I'm serious, dog. Like, everywhere we turn, every day I wake up, is Donald Trump wins. Donald Trump wins in this way. And the left, they hate to see it. As you can see, she has to throw her little shade right there at the end, or at least that's how I perceived it. She going, oh, well, we're going to see pretty much what's going to happen after the leak, after we get all of this information. We're going to say, shame on you, man. Do not bet against Donnie. Now, he was very busy today. Trump ignored every question from CNN's Caitlin Collins.
Who told you that information was not classified? Which of your national security advisors
Just
told
following
you
up on your comments on the economy, there is reporting that consumer confidence.
You missed it? Watch it one more time.
that information was not classified? Which of your national security advisors?
Just following up on your comments on the economy, there is reporting that consumer.
He said, another question?
Which of your national security advisors?
Ah, that's my guy, man. Oh, and he did it a couple times. I'm going to show that to y'all in a minute. But Donald Trump also shared this video yesterday on his Twitter account. Yes, real Donald Trump. This is actually him. And he posted this TikTok from US Talk 2025. Check this out.
Not a day goes by I don't think about it.
Trump's longtime assistant shares what happened after the shooting.
I'll never forget him dropping to the ground, shots being fired, him going down, and then him fighting through the Secret Service to get up and not only get his shoe, as you heard on the mic.
Let me get my shoes.
But the way he got up and lifted his fist and yelled, fight, fight, fight. That's his spirit. And that's the way that man is behind the scenes.
Man.
Fight, fight, fight. He's been doing that all his life.
Yeah.
Then they brought him in and brought him to the hospital. I picked up his hat because the hat fell to the ground, gave it to him in the hospital. And he's there on the phone wanting to know how you guys are doing, how the family's doing. He cared about the people that were in the room, the Secret Service agents, myself. He's a warrior. And that's who the American people have leading this country.
Many people have told me that God spared my life for a reason.
Definitely. Yes.
And that reason was to save our country and to restore America to greatness.
That's right. Donald Trump is relentless, and that's what the American people are identifying with the most. I mean, we are not a people whom are weak. I mean, we just survived the Biden-Harris regime. Come on, you got to give us a little credit. Nah, but dead serious, man. Donald Trump has been through his ups and downs and been crucified through legacy media, mainstream media, and all these other sources that the legacy media controls. But he still came out on top. And, of course, the deep state can't stand that. They can't stand it even a little bit. But this guy is single-handedly coming in there and representing the average American citizen as a millionaire or billionaire at this point. I don't know. How could he relate? He knows what a woman is. But the left don't seem to. But because he's a billionaire, he can't relate to that. Yeah, get out of my face, man. What we got right here? What do we have next? Obama, Biden, Hillary, Clapper, Comey, etc. You are so screwed. I mean, it's game over.
Next, sir, we have a presidential memorandum for your attention. This memorandum requires the immediate declassification of all FBI files relating to the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. This was obviously one of the instances of the weaponization of law enforcement powers of prosecution against you and others. We believe that it's long past time for the American people to have a full and complete understanding of what exactly is in those files.
Which gives the media the right to go in and check it. You probably won't bother because you're not going to like what you see. But this was total weaponization. It's a disgrace. Should never happen in this country. But now you'll be able to see for yourselves, all declassified. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All declassified?
Yes, sir.
Everything?
The FBI file with there's a classified annex, but other than that, this we'll put everything in the public eye.
Even made him clarify.
Is anybody going to look? What about you? You going to look? And frankly, the FBI should be ashamed of themselves, and so should the Department of Justice, and so should Biden. Okay?
I cannot wait. Probably not my very next video, but yeah, my next video on this subject is I gotta wait for some more details to come out. I gotta go ahead and do some research into what I'm gonna be diving into because I do not want to come in here ignorant whatsoever. But yes, if all the conspiracies surrounding this come out to be true, where does the accountability lie? Like, how does that go? Obama, Biden, Hillary? That, because you'll be in jail. Line is starting to ring in my head. I'll think about it over and over again. Now, Trump just pardoned former Hunter Biden business associate. If he was your business associate, Hunter, at what point did you decide that he was no longer, good to be a business associate? I don't know. Y'all listen to this and tell me.
First, we have a pardon for Devin Archer. Devin Archer was a former business partner of the Biden family. He's was prosecuted relating to a fraud investigation, but notably the tone and tenor of that prosecution changed dramatically after he began to cooperate with congressional investigators and serve as a witness against Hunter Biden and the Biden family. We believe that was an injustice, and therefore we're asking you to pardon him.
And many people have asked me to do this. I think he was treated very unfairly. And I looked at the records, studied the records, and he was a victim of a crime, as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to undo that.
Yeah. Biden, you might have pardoned yourself, but your reputation is game.
Devin Archer.
And did he really pardon himself?
Congratulations, Devin.
I don't even know if he pardoned himself. You got to remember, he had the auto pen and all that, right? My sis Just Jen said, Devin Archer knows a lot. I'm okay with this. The hell? Why? There must be a reason behind this. What is it? Yeah, I'm going to need some explanations on that one, Trump. I ain't going to lie to you, dog. Like, ooh, because all I got is the theory that he knew a little too much, and once he decided once Biden and them decided that he wasn't in cooperation, Archer that is, they decided to go ahead and hem him up a couple. That's my assumption, but that is not, I don't have no factual information. But he said, this seems like a path to investigating Hunter Biden. If they subpoena Devin on their business dealings, he'll have to testify. Could be a strategic move. We don't know. Tell you what, though. Democrats cheered against an American company. They refused to celebrate the rescue of American astronauts. They couldn't even stand for a childhood cancer survivor. The message has been moved from anti-Trump is definitely anti-American. Would y'all agree? Shout out to Speaker Mike Johnson for posting this.
Axios reported yesterday that Democrats are, quote, in their deepest hole in nearly 50 years. This is not a mystery. Everyone understands what's happening and why. In their haste to oppose President Trump and our efforts to make government more efficient, Democrats are cutting off their noses to spite their own face. Look, I've made a list of this. They're cheering the decline of an American company which employs over 100,000 workers.
Does that make sense?
They refuse to celebrate the return of stranded American astronauts because SpaceX facilitated their return.
Doesn't make
Without
sense.
a hint of irony, they're trading in their electric vehicles for SUVs, as was noted earlier. All right? They publicly refuse to stand for a childhood cancer survivor, victims of violent crimes during President Trump's joint address. Their message has gone from, it's more than just anti-Trump now, it's anti-American. Axios
and I'll misunderstand. My little chuckle there was not laughing in agreement somehow with the left or disagreement with him. It was just at the thought of like just how goofy these people are, man. Like, honestly, you can't even be, you so upset with a guy just because he's vetting the government to make sure that your money is being spent properly. And you go through all this, you can't even stand, you can't be a human. You become, okay. The reason why I'm playing this clip, my fault, because I sure did just get ready to play it. He's totally ignoring Caitlin Collins. Now, I told y'all, he was going to play a longer clip. Let's watch it.
Economically for many, many decades.
Mr. President, who told you that information was not classified? Which of your national security advisors
Just
told you
following
that?
up on your comments on the economy, there is reporting that consumer confidence fell for the fourth straight month. What is your message to Americans who are concerned
Well,
about
I know this, that for the first time in like 50 years, right track, wrong track. We were on the right track. And I think people see that. And if you look at prices, prices are way down. You know, when I first came here, the first time I met with you people officially, they were screaming at me about eggs. I said, I've been here for a week and I'm being yelled at about eggs. Egg prices have come down 45, 50% in the last week and a half.
That's what's up.
And our Secretary of Agriculture has done a great job, as you know, Brooke. She's done a fantastic job, and others working with her have done a great job. But we brought eggs down at a level that nobody thought we could get at. I inherited that situation, and I inherited a grocery situation. The groceries went way up, an old-fashioned word, but it's a very descriptive word. Groceries have gone through the roof. And I used to campaign on it. I used to say, we're going to get groceries down, and we have got it down. I watched a certain newscast over the weekend, and a congressman, Democrat congressman, said, well, Trump's done a lot. I agree. He's been great on the border. He's been great on the military. But, you know, he hasn't brought prices down. That's false. Gasoline's way down.
Yep.
Eggs are way down.
Yep.
Groceries are down, very substantially, but down. Almost everything's down. Now, I'd like to see interest rates come down a little bit. And you're going to see billions of dollars, even trillions of dollars coming into our country very soon in the form of tariffs, because we were abused by presidents that, frankly, in all fairness, it wasn't their expertise, but they had no idea what they were doing.
Mr. President, you say tariffs will create more jobs here in America?
That's what I'm talking about. The boss, man. He's like, look, man, y'all got to remember, he's a businessman at the end of the day as well. I mean, that's how we know who he is. Of course, you know, his father did the American thing, which was leave him some bread for him to be able to make his way. And look what he did with it.
It wasn't their expertise, but they had no idea what they were doing.
Mr. President, you say tariffs will create more jobs here in America.
Oh,
so
yeah, sure.
Which
I
states?
agree. It'll create a lot of money and more jobs. But if you look, so in the last, these gentlemen would know about it, and ladies, because some of the ladies are great businessmen in this room that are becoming ambassadors. Great, really great, top of the line. When you look at the number of companies that have said, like, we're close to, I would say close to $4 trillion. We never had numbers like that. The number one chip maker in the world from Taiwan coming in with $200 billion. We have Apple. Look at Apple. $500 billion. $500 billion. They're going to build plants all over the United States. They were all being built in China. You have many, many companies, and maybe above all, you have the car companies coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We have Honda is opening up one of the biggest plants in the world in Indiana, and many car companies are coming in. We have AI. We're leading China by a lot in AI. And we're going to keep it that way because we've made it very good for them. And we're going to protect them. Once they're here, we'll protect them through taxes, through incentives, and also through tariffs. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, President Trump. We thank you, man, for everything that you out here doing. Poking the bear is not the best strategy. Somebody wrote, I don't know, into either capacity, who they're talking about, Caitlin, or I'll just go to the next one. But even before I say that, I'll just say, man, look at Donald Trump, dog. Like, the one thing that I truly enjoy is the fact that when he was talking about the Russia collusion or the hoax or whatever the case, how he didn't speak from a pick a side or a bipartisan standpoint. He didn't say, hey, now, you know, you got to check this out and this will confirm this or that. He just like, hey, man, look, you going to read it? You going to read it? Hey, this is going to confirm some stuff that He didn't try to persuade you. I can respect that, man. President Trump, please look at the stores who are price gouging on eggs. Fresh Myers in Richmond, Oregon, dozen eggs went up 50 cents from last week. Yeah, they are squeezing everything. You know, right now, they're in transition, so it's going, He should call her Jim, LOL. Good for him. She should always be ignored. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, that part right there, I like that part too. You got Kaylin out here looking like, Look, CNN, y'all just don't have the same credibility that y'all used to have. It's just not what it is. You guys are, unfortunately, not coming to grips with the reality that the American people aren't in that direction anymore. We're not in the propaganda machine direction. Of course, there's a great deal of Americans whom you still have access to, but Trump is the GOAT. Okay? I don't care what you say. Trump, that man needs to go. Somebody said, her knees might hurt so much. I'm not even going to finish that. Incredible how fast he can get things done. What a team he has assembled. Yes, you have to give Donald Trump's team and his administration for sure a huge shout out because they are doing a tremendous job. Personally, I'm not saying that it never happened, but my lifetime, I ain't never, ever heard of so many executive orders being handled in such a short amount of time. So you got to get that man kudos. And the left really tried to make it seem like Donald Trump is declining. Like, for real, they tried to come up with this whole little narrative. Oh, he declining, XYZ, he not going to be able to, basically tried to paint him as what is that man name? Biden is. Thought y'all lost my train of thought. Somebody said, we don't need a poll to tell us Trump's agenda is popular. We've already caught on to the media's deception. We just use our eyes, ears, and brain now. Yeah, because trying to tell us what to believe and fear-monger us, it's not working. And y'all best candidate is Crockett right now. AOC. Look, I'm going to see you in the next video. Stay tuned right after this one. And before you do that, though, I want you to go check on somebody today. Please go check on a friend, y'all. I know y'all hear me say it, but I genuinely mean it. Go check on somebody today because you can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.